My daughter had a seizure 3 days ago, and we ended up spending 2 days in the hospital, so here's a story time of the traumatic experience I had in the hospital while I rage cleaned. My daughter woke up with a 103.7-degree fever and quickly seized right after that. I panicked and took her right to the pediatrician. The doctor told me that she was fine, it was just a seizure from the rapid raise in her temperature, but if things got worse, to bring her back in. And around 3 p.m., things were worse, so I brought her back in. They decided to do a UTI test to rule that out, but when they go to cath her, nothing was there, and that's when they realized that she was severely dehydrated. She was also incredibly lethargic. So this is the point that they send us to the hospital, and they say that we're going to get admitted overnight. She needs IV fluids, that she's very dehydrated. So we get to the hospital, and the nurse tries to do the IV twice and is unsuccessful. So at this point, she's got one poke in each of her hands. The doctor then comes in and says, hey, let's not poke her again. Let's try the NG tube. Well, Addie pulled out the NG tube twice and threw it up once, so that was not a viable option to get her fluids. And watching my baby go through this was really hard, but this is where the trauma really starts. The shift changed, and the new nurse comes in and says she doesn't want to attempt the IV, that she's going to get the anesthesiologist and the ultrasound team up here to do an IV via ultrasound. They find a vein in the ultrasound, and they stick the needle in her, and then they lose the vein. So they're in her arm with the needle for 10 minutes. My baby is screaming, crying, and I'm holding her arm down. I have SVT, and my heart rate spiked to 157, and I blacked out. So they tell me to go sit down, so I had to leave my baby and sit down and come to. While I'm sitting down, they still have the needle in her arm, and they're still trying to find the vein. Finally, they find it, and they get the catheter in. But they never wiped off the lube, so when they put the tape on to keep the catheter in, it popped right off. My baby's labs are not looking great, and she's severely dehydrated. The new night nurse tries to get her vein and accidentally blows it. I was pinning her down the entire time, and there was a pool of blood under her. It was a lot for me to take in. She says that she's not going to try again, and she's going to get the surgical anesthesiologist with the ultrasound machine, and he's supposed to be the best of the best. So he comes in and he tries to get her vein in her hand, and he blows that vein. They have me laying over her, pinning her down from her stomach up. I am supposed to be her safe place, and I am no longer her safe place. He tries again in the arm, and he's unsuccessful and blows another vein. Again, there is blood everywhere. He tells me to trust me, and it's more important for him to try again and get my baby hydration than leave her dehydrated. So I trust him, and he tries again in her foot. He is unsuccessful for the third time, and I tell him he's not stabbing her again. At this point, I'm completely traumatized from having to hold my baby down and seeing the amount of blood that is on the bed. They did every IV attempt in her crib, and she no longer wanted to be near her crib, so she wasn't going to sleep in there that night. It was not a safe space for her. It was completely traumatizing. I told them that they had to find another way because they were not going to attempt an IV again. I stayed up all night and let her sleep on me. I was able to force a few ounces down her throat while she was sleeping because she had the suckle reflex. In the morning, I told them that I didn't want to be there anymore and that I wanted to go home because there is nothing that we were doing in the hospital that I couldn't do at home. And if she wasn't going to hydrate at home, I was going to take her to the children's hospital an hour away. When we got home, she started drinking her milk again and slowly got better over the next few days. I think she was absolutely terrified of being in the hospital from what she went through. So here are my final thoughts. I was supposed to be her safe place, and I was not. I was the one pinning her down. I am supposed to be her voice, but I was told over and over again that they're a satellite of the children's hospital and they know what they're doing, and that I need to trust them because she needs the IV because her labs are not looking good. I trusted them, and I should not have. I'm going to find it very hard to ever trust medical professionals again. They told me over and over again that she was doing better, that she didn't have a fever, but they were taking her temperature under her armpit. When we got home and took her rectal temperature, she had 101-degree fever. She was not doing better. She was not fever-free. This experience was completely traumatizing as a parent and a child. And I'm sharing this because I didn't use my parental intuition. I should have trusted my gut, and I should have left that hospital way earlier before they had the chance to stab her 7 times. I'm sharing this because if you're a nurse and you ask a parent to pin them down, think twice. If you're a nurse and you're doing the IV in their crib, think twice. It's traumatizing. Addie has been home now for 2 days, and she is doing so much better. She's almost back to 100%, and I'm so glad that she's okay. But I will never be taking her back to that hospital.